Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's poppin', Fantasy Champs? Hopefully you enjoyed the Wednesday, or what is it, the Tuesday show, about the waiver wire. On this episode of the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast, we're going to discuss our Thursday night preview show as normal for Week 7. And we get the Browns and the Broncos. I was going to say the Buccaneers. That's not right. The Browns and the Broncos. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. What's poppin', Ricardo?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
I'm doing peachy.
Peachy. Like it.
I'll steal your vernacular. But anyway, yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about, Week 7. Before we do that, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all those social media platforms. Type in our name, you'll find us. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, any other podcast platforms, leave a review, share this podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notice, like, and then comment down below questions you have about the Thursday night football game that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Feels like we're flying through the NFL season here.
Because we are. We 100% are. Just sad.
I mean, after this week, we have 10 weeks to go, so that's good.
That's not bad.
And then, because it's really only like the middle of October. And the NFL season begins like the first week of January, second week of January.
Mm-hmm.
Did they move the Super Bowl back a week, by the way?
They must have.
Because I was like, it kind of blows. It's not on the first Sunday of the month anymore.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
They should just make them not do a bye week. Suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah, it goes to. I mean, I don't think it would be that big of a deal if they didn't. But they have to have their media week.
That's true. I mean, do they have to?
No.
Do we really have to watch Roger Goodell do a State of the League and then have Snoop Dogg and actually I kind of want to see that. Yeah. Snoop Dogg and all the other rappers they signed on, old guy rappers they signed on for this halftime show.
Right.
This is one of the most interesting halftime shows I've ever watched in my life, to be completely honest with you. This is like when they had the Rolling Stones, except it's rap.
Yeah, pretty much.
Snoop Dogg's going to be absurd. I'm kind of lit about that. They should just let him do the whole thing.
I know.
Snoop plans the whole thing. I don't even know.
They got Eminem on there. They got Snoop. I think Kendrick. Eminem? Yeah, dude.
Bro,
do you see the list?
What clean song does Eminem have that they can play?
There isn't one. It's just, you're going to have to accept it.
Swearing on live television. Great.
Yeah.
That's good for the kiddies. Anyway. But, yes. So, we're going to talk about Thursday Night Football on this show. We're very far away from that happening, which is great. But anyway. So, we got the Browns. We got the Broncos. Browns are the home team. Broncos are the road team. I want to believe that this is a week where you're going to have some guys that you can play in your fantasy matchups, and you probably are going to have to start some guys because there are a lot of bye weeks this week. This is the first big week of bye weeks of the season. At least for me, I have a lot of bye weeks. The next week I got Swift in week 8, I believe. Swift and Hawk. Soul crushing.
That's tough. I mean, that's what you get for having 2 Lions.
I'm so mad about having 2 Lions. But every time Hawkinson does me wrong, he just does that one little more thing right. And I'm like, ooh, I'll keep you around.
Yeah.
I hate it. It gets 3 straight games with less than 5 points. Anyway. So, yeah, we're going to talk about Thursday Night Football, Browns, Broncos. You want to start with the home team or the road team? What do you think?
I think probably the home team because that's what we usually do, right?
Okay. Fair enough. Let's get it started. All right, so I feel like the Browns one is just going to be us figuring out who's going to play and who's not going to play.
Yeah, that's fair.
For the entirety of it. Because I feel if Baker Mayfield plays, obviously you start Nick Chubb no matter what, and we'll talk about him in a second, but if Baker Mayfield does not play, I feel like you could say all of the running backs and all of the wide receivers that not all the players not named Nick Chubb are not startable.
Yes. We'll start with that. If Baker doesn't play, You don't start anyone on the Browns except Nick Chubb.
So now we should I'll give you an injury update on Baker. I'll give you an injury update on Baker right now, but I will say we're going to assume Baker's playing with the rest of this. If Baker does not play, like Rick said, everyone just sit him down.
Right.
So Baker Mayfield, he projected, I don't know why they use that word. So the Browns list Mayfield as a non-participant on Monday's estimated practice report. What the freak does this mean? What the heck are they talking about?
I have no idea.
Cleveland didn't actually hold a practice, is what they said. Okay, all right. So they just created a fake
Wouldn't have
practice
been available.
report. If there was a practice, Baker Mayfield would not have played, is what essentially this report is saying. So
I mean, they could have just...
I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I don't even know why they released a report like this. But
Right.
he has a shoulder injury, so just keep an eye on that. He said he wants to play through it. He had it literally in a sling on Sunday. So I would think that that's not a good sign for his Thursday night.
Yeah, it's not his throwing shoulder, though, isn't it? Isn't it
I don't
his...
think so.
Yeah, it's his non-throwing
It's
shoulder,
like the
so it's a
time
little
that,
different.
Matt Stafford ripped his shoulder out of the socket and threw a touchdown.
That's next level, but yeah.
Yeah, so let's assume Baker plays.
Okay.
Do you want to start him?
No.
Okay.
No.
Odell Beckham. Did you have any other thoughts on Baker? I just cut you off.
No, I mean, I guess if you're in a deep league, you might consider it, but no. Overall, no.
Okay, let's move to some wide receivers that we're going to talk about. Like I said, every position's got injuries, so we're going to give you what we know. So, also, Odell was a DNP as well on the projected practice that did not happen. He also picked up a shoulder injury. I can't remember if he came out of the game. Kevin Stefanski didn't go into too much detail regarding his
He did come out of the
injuries.
game. I don't remember if he went back in.
Yeah, I don't remember if he went back in either.
Yeah.
Odell, in this game, he actually was a little bit better in half PPR, but he's been hot trash since the season started.
It's, to be fair to him, like, have you watched any of the Browns games?
Some of them, yeah.
So in the game against the Vikings, I don't know about the other ones because I didn't watch the Chargers game as much, or even this past week against the Cardinals. But the game against the Vikings I watched, and it was kind of trending on Twitter. So there was 2 plays where Odell was open by about legitimately 10 yards, and it was a touchdown if Baker just hit him. And Baker underthrew him on one play and overthrew him on another, and missed him 3 separate times.
Baker's low key not great.
Well, yeah, it's weird because last year Baker was actually pretty good. Like if you look at his numbers, especially he finished the year really well. I think his last 6 games, he only had 1 interception. He threw 12 touchdowns or something. He was playing well. But this year, he just hasn't been good. I don't know what's going on.
I think he's just inconsistent.
Battling injuries, or he's just inconsistent. Yeah.
I mean, Mahomes has thrown 8 interceptions, so
that's true. So I mean, who knows?
It's a weird year for quarterbacks. Maybe it's the fans being back.
Maybe there's something. There's something. He does not look good this year. I don't know why. Maybe he'll go out on Thursday Night Football and throw 5 touchdowns, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So I mean, because of that though, it's affected Odell a lot, and Odell already doesn't have good chemistry with Baker, so it's the combination of the two. So he hasn't been good this year fantasy-wise because of that, and which isn't surprising. I mean, we told you multiple times throughout the offseason to not draft Odell, and here you are stuck with Odell on your team, being like, should I start him?
And we're like, no. He is playing Denver though, and Denver's giving up fantasy points to the wide receiver position. So, I mean, and you have bye weeks.
You have bye weeks, yeah. That's the big thing is.
Do you start Odell?
If Baker's playing, I think, and you have Odell and you have bye weeks, you got to start him fine. But don't go out of your way to start Odell just because he's Odell, right? He's like a low end wide receiver 2, maybe even a high end wide receiver 3 at this point.
Seriously, another guy. So I don't know. So Jarvis Landry. There was some projections earlier last week for week 6 that he was going to come off IR. and then he was going to come back and play. And then they said that he wasn't activated from injury reserve prior to Saturday's deadline for Week 6 transactions, and that he wasn't going to play Sunday. But there is speculation that the potential for him is that he's targeting a Week 7 return against the Broncos. So he could be back this week. When he was on the field in Game 1, he was actually relatively good. He had 16 fantasy points, and he had 86% of the snaps. He only had 5 targets, though, so that's not very good. But he's their slot receiver, and he puts up some good games and some bad games. Considering that it's against Denver and he's coming back from an injury, do you want to start Jarvis if he plays?
Not really.
This
but
is such
if
a
you
hard
have,
week to talk about the Browns because like there's
it's another one where it's like if you have the bye, then yeah, you consider starting him. Would you rather start Odell or Landry though?
Probably Odell.
I would say Odell too, even though it feels like Baker has better chemistry with Jarvis Landry, but yeah, I think I would start Odell.
Okay, and then the third wide receiver on the team would normally be Rashard Higgins, but and he's not hurt.
No.
So didn't score a fantasy point this week against Arizona, but I don't think he's startable. There's other guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones who had like 20
I would rather have
fantasy points.
Peoples-Jones, yeah.
And then I forgot who the other guy's name is, but there's a guy 5th on the depth chart. Now, I think Peoples-Jones would be a great start, especially if Odell is out and Jarvis Landry does not come off.
If they're both out, then yes.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
I think that he's a great start
what
this
if
week.
One of them is out, but one of Landry and Odell is out, but
I still think Peoples-Jones might be startable.
Yeah, that's fair.
But if Baker's out,
I would definitely put him over Higgins. So. I think we both agree on that.
All right, let's move to running back and talk about more injuries. So Chubb, Kareem Hunt's out. He's gone. Yep. He's not playing. Nick Chubb got hurt. Nick Chubb opened the week as a DNP at the non-practice. I don't know what the speculation is. Right now, they're not sure if he's going to play or not. Obviously, if he plays, you have to start him.
Yep.
You're running back one, start him. If he does not play, what are your thoughts on Dearness Johnson and Demetric Felton?
It's so gross. I think Johnson will probably play the Nick Chubb role, and then Felton will probably play the Kareem Hunt role.
Okay. So they'll both just cut production in half.
Exactly.
10 points, 10 points.
I think that's what would happen. So if you're in a PPR league, maybe consider Felton, but I would think Dearness Johnson gets the bulk of the carries.
Okay.
Yeah, but it would be a gross situation if that was the case. If Nick Chubb plays, though, he's top 5 running back of the week and might be the RB1 of the week, to be honest, without Kareem Hunt.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I would agree with that 100%.
He gets 25 touches.
And then Austin Hooper, the biggest waste of money of all time.
I don't know.
Don't even consider starting him, picking him up anywhere near your lineups. Please and thank you. So yeah, I think a lot of the Browns situation hinges on if Baker plays and if Chubb plays. Because if Baker's out, then I would say all wide receivers are pretty much useless. And if Nick Chubb does not play on top of that as well, then I think Felton and Dearness Johnson are non-starters. For me.
Yeah, I agree.
If Nick Chubb is in, he's the only guy that I would start without Baker. If Baker plays, Odell, Jarvis are startable. If those guys don't play, Donovan Peoples-Jones is startable. And then, obviously, if Nick Chubb doesn't play with Baker in the game, then you can maybe get away in PPR leagues with Demetric Felton and Dearness Johnson, possibly, as a recap.
Yep.
Wow, that was a cluster frick.
Right. Good job. I think you did a good job.
All right.
Round of applause. But either way, the Browns, are definitely a cluster.
That whole game Sunday, it was like Baker got hurt, Odell got hurt,
I know,
Landry's out,
Landry
Nick Chubb's
already
out,
hurt.
freaking
Kareem Hunt got hurt in the game as well.
It was a bad afternoon.
Yeah,
bad afternoon for the training staff trying to figure out where all these injuries are coming from. But anyway, let's talk about the Broncos. I feel like there's some guys in here that we can discuss. First off is Teddy Bridgewater. We talked about him this week going up against the Cleveland Browns. They've been giving up a lot of fantasy points to the quarterback position. Do you want to start Teddy Bridgewater?
He's on the stream list. I have guys ahead of him. I think Tua would be ahead of him. I probably would put Winston ahead of him too, but he's probably 3rd on the stream list. I would take him over Roethlisberger and players like that. He's probably he's a middle of the pack quarterback. If you're in a really deep league and there's other teams that are already streaming quarterbacks, yeah, I would look to Bridgewater. I just don't. I mean, he's not going to get you 30 fantasy points. He's probably not even going to get you 25.
And it's a Thursday night game and a gross matchup against the
he's
Browns.
Probably, he's. My guess would be he's going to get around like 17, 18, which is decent, but nothing crazy.
Okay. So there were reports last week about the possibility of Jerry Jeudy. He's going to be activated off IR this week, most likely. And then there were reports that he could possibly play in Week 7. But right now, from what I'm hearing, Vic Fangio said that there's a less than 50% chance that he plays this Thursday. So I'm going to say that he's out.
Yeah.
But
I think
that would make him questionable.
To sit him,
especially if the Browns are like beat up and they're like if half their team doesn't play.
Yeah,
like just sit Jerry Jeudy for a week.
Right.
But that would make him questionable because you have to be around 50%. Either questionable or doubtful for this week is what you're going to get for a designation for Jerry Jeudy. I would say that it's most likely that he won't play. If this was a Sunday matchup, it would be a little bit different. But because he's playing Thursday, it's highly unlikely that he plays this week.
Yeah.
To me, even though he said there's less than 50%, but I'm like, what the frick does that even mean, Vic? What are you talking about, buddy? So,
who knows?
Anyway, so that would be the first guy. Obviously, with him out, you have guys like Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick. I would say just to start off with Kendall Hinton, like I'm all set.
Yeah, you can pass on Hilton.
The only two guys that I think we should be talking about at the wide receiver position are Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick. So give me your thoughts on Cortland.
Yeah, I think Sutton's a good start. He's probably a wide receiver too at this point. I think the Browns have some injuries on defense as well. He had 14 targets this past week against the Raiders.
A lot of targets since week
2. I mean it's because Judy's out and KJ Hamler's out. Like they're missing two of their guys, so Sutton's really getting all the work. There's debates that he would be the wide receiver 1 anyway, but this is just extra work, I guess. 14 targets. Yeah. I don't think he's getting that again against the Browns, but yeah, I mean he's definitely a start. I mean. Week 1, I give him a pass because that was his first game back, and they were kind of easing him into it. Since then, he's had 26, 6, 21, 19. So that's pretty good. It's pretty solid. He's definitely at least a solid wide receiver too this week against the Browns.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. I think he's a definite start. I would say high end wide receiver 2 or mid range, somewhere in that vicinity. I like him this week. Especially against Cleveland, who's been giving up a crap load of fantasy points to the wide receiver position. Tim Patrick he was a waiver wire guy, and he's kind of interesting. But he had so far this year 11, 11, 12, 5, 12, 11. I think this is a PPR league, so take that with a grain of salt. But is he a guy that you would be interested in starting on Thursday Night Football? Or I personally would sit him.
I'd probably sit him too. If you have a bye week though, and
you need to start a guy. I mean, I guess.
I would take if we have to compare him to other players to give you an idea, I would put him below the Jarvis Landry and Odell category, but he's still startable if you need him. I would be okay with it because in half PPR he has 11, 11, 12, 5, 12, 11. So that's not. Again, not bad. He has a role in the offense with Jerry Jeudy out. He's the clear wide receiver 2 right now, but he's still Tim Patrick. Let's not. Right. He's not getting 20.
There's not a massive expectation here.
Yeah. I would sit Tim Pat. I wouldn't start him, but again, you might be in a situation this week where you have to start guys you don't want to, and there's worse options than Tim Patrick.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like we said, no Kendall Hinton.
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, the forever debate. Kyle Yates from Fantasy Pros today tweeted that, or maybe it was yesterday, but he tweeted that Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. He said that Javonte should be getting a majority of the work. I don't know why they haven't switched to him. And then Melvin Gordon commented on this post.
Yeah.
I have to read it because I don't want to botch it. It was kind of funny. And then he kind of backtracked on his statement because Melvin Gordon commented on it.
Right.
So I'm like, I would have just been went right in. I would have been like, dude, you blow. and triggered him real hardcore. Anyway, so he basically said, I got to find the tweet. And why does this guy tweet so much?
It's not the problem is it's like, and I've said this to you off the air. And I think I've also said it to you on the show.
Yeah.
Where it's just like Melvin Gordon is like Javonte. I think at this point in their careers, like he clearly has more juice. I think he's a really talented running back, and he's the better of the two.
Yeah.
But Melvin Gordon is still like he's getting old. He's 28, but he still has a little bit left in the tank. Like he's not a bad player.
No, he's not.
It's not like Le'Veon Bell at this point in his career. Like he still has a little bit left, so they can't just think throw him away. You know?
Okay, so it says name something more irritating than Javonte Williams. The fact that Javonte Williams remains in a 50-50 split with Melvin Gordon. I'll go first. Dan Harris, who's his co-host. And then he said, Melvin Gordon tweeted at him and said, "You writing this dumb tweet" as a response. I was like, that's good. And then he backtracked and he said, "Flash was just using this as an excuse to insult my co-host. Ha ha ha. Nothing more. You guys are a great dynamic duo. It makes sense why you are splitting work. Keep doing what you're doing, man." And I'm like, bruh, just go at him.
Yeah,
we all know cringy, we want Javonte.
I mean, I get why he does it because you have to.
It's cringy, a little cringy. But anyway, the debate between these two fellas is, I guess it's not a debate because everyone wants Javonte. Poor Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
No one's rooting for you, buddy. I don't think it's happening this week. And I don't think it's happening for a couple more weeks. To be honest with you, I don't think it's happened till the bye, until he takes over. But at some point, you have to look at what Javonte is doing, and you have to be like, this guy needs to be getting 60% of the carries. Like, he's clearly more explosive. And Melvin does good things, and he still provides some good work, which is why he shouldn't completely lose the job. But when you have a running back who, I told Rick the stat before the show, but he had literally 3 straight games with a run of 30 yards or longer. And it's like, Javonte is just talented. He's very good. Yeah. And he really would be, it would be beneficial for them to get him on the field for a majority of the snaps. And so at some point that will happen. They're going to have to bite the bullet and let it happen eventually. But as of right now, it's kind of like I don't think that's happening this week. Now, I'll let you know, week 7, I got to start Javonte for this matchup because I need a running back. Got a bye week, 2 bye weeks on my running backs. So
yeah, good luck with that. You're starting them this week?
Yep, first start of on my team.
That's interesting. Yeah, it is kind of sad because they got 8 fantasy points this week. Mm-hmm. You just combine them,
and that would be Javonte by himself.
They'd be getting 16 points a week,
probably more,
maybe even more. Yeah, which is just so sad.
Yeah,
it is sad. Like, it's a coin flip with both of these guys, like, who you want to start. I guess Javonte, if I had to pick one, I would choose him. But it's like they're the exact same at this point for fantasy purposes and redraft. As of week 7, they're being used to be the exact same. So it's like they're both kind of just like flex options, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what I'm using him for this week. So hopefully he gets 10 points. I just need 10 points.
He should. I mean, I think he'll get 10. He can get 10.
But anyway, I'm excited to watch Javonte play because I really haven't gotten a whole ton of, besides some highlights, I haven't gotten a whole ton of time to watch him in an actual game and to see the splits. But yeah, I think what you said is right. They're both startable in the flex scenario this week if you need to. The best part is that the person in the home league who has Melvin Gordon most likely will start him this week.
Oh.
And I'm going to start Javonte.
Yeah.
And the person already told me that I traded for a backup running back when I traded for Javonte. So I just hope Javonte goes freaking bonkers.
I was going to say, we'll see how that goes. Are you playing him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That would be funny, actually.
He might start Melvin. So I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they're both startable in a flex situation. As far as Noah Fant is concerned, start him.
Yeah, he's startable every week.
Yeah, every week.
You know, he's had 2 really bad weeks, but, I mean, he's still the tight end 6.
So is TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, he's kind of the same.
If you don't have Travis Kelce, you're screwed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean, not screwed. You'll win a championship. I want to know the percentages. How many teams have Travis Kelce on their team to win the championship? You bring up Dalton Schultz.
Maybe.
Freaking get out of here. Is there any more thoughts on Thursday Night Football?
No, I think we covered it all.
Okay, good. Sounds good. There you go. Thursday night preview. Rest of the week as normal content. Trade targets on Friday. Thursday starts and sits. We'll get to all that stuff coming up. But be sure to take this advice and use it to your advantage. Have a good night, guys.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.